Hello Ruby, Adventures in Coding by Linda Lucas. Activities included for all future coders. The most whimsical way to learn about computers, programming, and technology. Okay, here we go. Ruby and her friends. Ruby, about me. I like learning new things and I hate giving up. I love to share my opinions. Want to hear a few? My dad is the best. I tell great jokes. I'm a mischief maker and prefer my cupcakes without strawberries, please. Birthday, February 24th. Interests, maps, secret codes, and small talk. Pet peeves, I hate confusion. Favourite expression, why? Secret superpower, I can imagine impossible things. Penguins, about us. We're very smart, but occasionally others think we're eccentric. We communicate with very short, often rude sentences, and we love problems, especially breaking them into smaller pieces. Birthday, August 25th. Interests, patterned knits, riddles, and abbreviations. Pet peeves, we hate being told what to do, and spaghetti. Favourite expression, have choices. Secret superpower, we're older than the others. Django. About me, I have a pet snake called Python. I'm very organised, persistent, and somewhat rigid. I like things that can be counted, odd, even, prime, cubed, rooted, backwards, and forwards. But I don't take myself too seriously. Birthday, February 20th. Interests, the circus, philosophy, and Pythonic things. Pet peeves, people crowding around me when I stand in line. Favourite expression, simple is better than complex. Secret superpower, I always have a solution. Snow leopard. About me, I'm the most beautiful, polite, and well mannered snow leopard I know. I often have fights with the robots, which is kind of pointless since we are similar in the end. Birthday, June 8th. Interests, solitude, Zen, and Pilates. Pet peeves, people think I'm tough, but I'm really cuddly. Favourite expression, think different. Secret superpower, boundless beauty. Robots. About us. We are playful and flexible and fast. We have hundreds of robot siblings. We're never happier than when we're all building something together. Birthday, 23rd of September. Interests, cooking shows, the penguins, and making more friends. Pet peeves. We don't get all the fuss about being clean and consistent. Who cares? Favourite expression, be together. Secret superpower, we might look small, but we grow up really fast. Boxes, about us. We get really excited about new things. We love gardening and grow many kinds of plants and species, and somehow bugs. We like being enthusiastic, friendly, and cheerful, but we don't try to limit our freedom. That's when we get really angry. Birthday, November 7th. Interests, gardening, geckos, and nighttime. Pet peeves, always being safe. Favourite expression, let's do it. And secret superpower, we can spin and somersault like no one else. Here's a picture of Ruby. Chapter 1, Meet Ruby. Ruby is a small girl with a huge imagination. She loves to crawl under her bed and imagine all the bugs that might live there. She's always coming up with new dance moves, and her favourite word is why. In Ruby's world, she's the chief creator and architect. One day she's a doctor, the next a bug hunter. Her superpower, Ruby can build things with her imagination. Anything is possible if Ruby puts her mind to it. One thing Ruby doesn't like is to be told what to do. Sometimes this means trouble, especially if the instructions are unclear. When Ruby's dad asks her to get dressed for school, she always puts her dress and shoes, but keeps her polka dot pajamas on. After all, Dad didn't tell her to first change out of her pajamas. When it's time to clean up her toys, Ruby stuffed her animals, building blocks, and toy house away, but leaves her drawing pencils on the floor. Pencils aren't really toys, she says cheekily. Chapter 2. The Clues. Ruby stomps and stumbles around her world while her dad is away working and travelling. Oh, how Ruby wishes she could go with him on his adventures. Working must be the best. But when Ruby really starts missing her dad, she finds something unexpected. A postcard. Ruby's dad is always full of great surprises. It says here, "Dear Ruby, today you're off on a grand adventure. I've hidden 5 gems for you to find. Keep going until you find them all. If you have more than one idea, follow your best one. And if you need help, remember that friends can often be found in unexpected places. I can't wait to hear how you found all the gems. Kisses, Dad." To Little Miss Ruby by the windowsill. Ruby is excited. She wants to start her adventure and find the gems. But Dad hasn't left any instructions. How absent-minded of him. Where should I begin? How do I find the clues? She ponders. Ruby feels like she could lie down and cry. But Ruby is a very practical girl, and she knows that often big problems are just lots of little problems stuck together. And with those thoughts in her mind, she knows what her first step should be. I'll make a plan. Having a plan makes Ruby feel stronger. First, she slides under the desk to look for hints and finds 4 crumpled pieces of paper. For someone else, these papers might look like trash, random numbers, words, and statements. But for Ruby, they are clues, like a secret code. Snow leopard lives on a mountain equals true. Penguins live in a house equals false. Steps south to foxes from snow leopard 100 times 4. Greetings from the river. Address robots equals 1600 Amphitheatre Parkway. The next thing Ruby needs is a map. Chapter 3. Ruby's plan. The next thing Ruby needs is a map. Carefully, she marks a spot for the penguins next to the riverbank. Then she finds the address of the robot and draws their tiny house. On the mountain, Ruby carefully writes snow leopard and then figures out where the foxes live, in the little garden below the snow leopard. Here is Ruby drawing her map, and here's the beginning of her map. And there's the other part of her map. As you can see, we have the foxes here, the robots, there's the mountains, okay? If you look here, there's the penguins, and up on the mountains are the snow leopards. But the map is far from complete. Ruby doesn't have any idea where the 5th gem might be. And she has so many questions. How do I find all the 5 gems? What happens if I get lost in the forest? How do I know what to bring with me? Ruby thinks long and hard. She decides that she'll just follow the shortest route from one place to another and marks off the order of her visits. And she'll take a roll of rope with her. Rope always seems like a good idea. Maybe Dad left her help after all. Ruby rolls the map into a tight little bundle and sets out into the unknown. Chapter 4. The Penguins. The first stop on the map is the home of the penguins. Now, there's one thing that Ruby knows about penguins. They are very smart, but sometimes hard to understand. Ruby approaches the penguins and politely asks, "Have you seen a gem my dad could have hidden here?" Gem, a valuable stone that is cut and polished, says penguin named Tux, says solemnly. Bang splat, tick tick hash, the penguin with the scarf chimes in. False, my dad lives in the North Pole, concludes the chubbiest penguin. Ruby thinks about each of these answers. They almost sound like another language. She realizes she needs to be more specific when asking the penguins a question. She tries again. Is there something smaller than my fist, cut of rock or mineral, of any colour, which is rarely seen here? True, yells the chubbiest penguin as he merrily points to the river. So the gem is in the river. Why don't we build a raft to get the gem out of the water? Ruby suggests. Here you can see them building the raft. The penguins agree and quickly organise themselves into a complex mission. They gather some sticks and Ruby lends her rope. Each little penguin and Ruby does one small task, but together they are really powerful. In no time, the raft is ready and together they push it out onto the water to find the sparkling gem. Chapter 5. Snow Leopard. Waving goodbye to the penguins, Ruby climbs to the next stop on her map, the top of the mountain. And who does she run into but the elegant Snow Leopard? Snow Leopard will surely be able to help her, but something is wrong. Why are you so upset? Ruby asks. I live up here because I love things that are simple and tidy, and now there's disorder, scoffs Snow Leopard. Look, it blinks, it's colourful and it hurts my eyes. Ruby glances in the direction that the Snow Leopard is pointing, and she sees a faint glimmer on the roof of the Snow Leopard's home. It's a gem! Ruby cries out in delight, but Ruby is too small and the gem is too high up for her to reach. Focus on the pure things, Snow Leopard stoically advises. Ignore the details that make things different. This will help you come up with a solution. Ruby takes a moment to clear her mind. She spots a bunch of sticks on the ground. Last time she made a raft with the penguins to get to the river. Maybe she can use the sticks and rope to make other things. She builds a simple structure of rope and sticks, repeats it 5 times, and soon it's a ladder. Snow Leopard smiles in the special way that only snow leopards know how to. With the second glittering gem stowed away, Ruby thanks the Snow Leopard and asks, what's the best way to get to the garden? Gives Snow Leopard a hug, I think, and then off she goes to the garden where the foxes are. Chapter 6. The Garden. When Ruby arrives, the whole garden is in chaos. Everything is out of order, with dirt, vegetables, and foxes flying every which way. It's hard to focus on anything. The foxes are confused about what to do. They keep repeating tasks that they have already done, and missing other jobs that need to be completed. New rule, the boss fox yells. Everyone grab a seed to plant and at the same time weed the garden. Ruby observes all the craziness and comes up with an idea. She raises her voice and gets everyone's attention. You, and you. You're the planters. You need a bag of seeds. If the hole is empty, drop in 1 carrot seed. If there is already a seed, keep moving. Keep going until you hit the end of the row. Then move to the next row. Repeat the whole thing 5 times. Ruby is pleased with herself. Now on to the others. The rest of you, you're the weeders. Your role is to remove everything green and living, unless it's a carrot seedling. Check each row, stop when you've reached the end of the 5th row. Oh, that helps, says the boss fox, a little sheepishly. So the weeders had to pull up all of these things, but not the carrots. And there were the foxes listening to the instructions from Ruby. Oh, look, they're going about their job. What do they find? Everyone gets to work, and when it's time to plant the last carrot seed, Ruby spots something half buried in the mud. It's a sparkling pink gem. With 3 gems in her pocket, Ruby lets out an exhausted but happy sigh. And that's when she smells something sweet drifting through the air. Her stomach starts to growl. Chapter 7. The Robots. Not too far away, in a very busy house with a very busy kitchen, the happy robots are baking. It smells like candy canes, cinnamon, cookies, milk, and jelly beans. A gem could easily be hidden in this messy kitchen, Ruby thinks. The robots love sharing everything, and they quickly invite Ruby in and teach her how to make cupcakes. Writing a recipe allows you to make many cupcakes. Once you've found a good recipe, you can make hundreds of cupcakes, or you can swap ingredients and make many different kinds of cupcakes, explains one of the robots. And recipes get better when you share them. You make friends when you share, continues the robot with the chef's hat. That's him. So Ruby makes cupcakes, lots of cupcakes. When she's done, she picks up one to take with her. I'll take the cupcake that has red sprinkles, yellow frosting, and no strawberries, Ruby decides. Ruby takes a final peek under the shelf and into the oven, but is disappointed that she can't find a gem. With a cupcake in her hand, Ruby thanks the robots and is on her way. When she takes a bite, she sees something inside the cupcake glimmer. Maybe that's another gem. Chapter 8. Django. Ruby walks into the forest with 4 gems in her backpack. Before she can get very far, a boy with a huge snake wrapped around his shoulders jumps out in front of her. Ruby spies the final gem in a chain around the boy's neck. Right there. Where did you get that gem? And what is that creature? Ruby asks. My name is Django, and this is my pet, Python. Who are you, and what are you doing in my forest? I'm Ruby. This is not your forest, it belongs to everyone, Ruby says fiercely. Ruby storms off without the gem, determined to get home and away from this boy. But when she reaches the riverbank, it's too wide for her to cross. Ruby stops to think. Surely she can figure this out. You're doing it wrong, says Django, sneaking up behind her. Let me show you how. I know how to solve this myself, Ruby replies. Feeling very confident, Ruby decides to build a bridge with her trusty rope and some sticks from her forest. She hums a little to herself as she works. When the bridge is ready, Ruby drags it to the riverbank and tests it out. But it doesn't work. Chapter 9, The Problem. Ruby is embarrassed. In her rush to build the bridge, she had forgotten to think about how to fasten it to the other side of the river. That's okay, Ruby. That was a great first try, Django assures her. We can figure this out together. Do you still have rope left? What if we use the rope to tie to the bridge to the python and he can swim it to the other side? Ruby suggests after thinking for a while. Their plan works. Ruby is about to ask for the gem around Django's neck when all of a sudden the gem doesn't seem to be so important anymore. She already has 4 of them. The gems don't bake, ponder, dive, or argue like friends do. Ruby smiles at Django, but doesn't say anything about the last gem. She's finally on her way back home. Chapter 10. Home. Back in her own bed, Ruby thinks about the long day. She's almost asleep when Dad walks in. Dad, I found all the gems. I made a plan, Ruby starts sleepily. It wasn't perfect, but that's okay, because I got help from the curious penguins and we built a raft together. Then I met the lonely snow leopard who taught me to focus and make a ladder. And I helped the gardening foxes work better together and learn how to bake the most delicious cupcakes with the robots. Even bossy Django helped me. They're also very, very different, but they all helped me on my adventure in some way. They're all friends. And that's the end of the story. So now Ruby is in bed, dreaming about all the adventures that she just Check out the next videos to do with Hello Ruby for activities, challenges, and other things to get involved